Y'all say park, passion, passion. We in the motherfucking building.
Hey, yo, what is good, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of the Passion Park podcast. I am David Lopez. I got my man RhymSter right here with me. You know what it is. For those of you who have been in tune with Passion Park for a minute, you'll know that this is actually the return of a podcast. I had a podcast for a long time that was just me doing it myself, by myself in my little home studio. So this is a step up, and this is what I've been waiting for. This is what the comeback is all about. We're ready. We about to have an amazing run with a new podcast. Let's go. What's going on, Rhyme? How you doing, man?
I'm good. How you been, man?
I'm great. I'm great, man. I'm great. I just only got a couple hours of sleep past 2 nights. We had 2 shows, Wednesday and Thursday, and we got 2 more coming up, Friday, Saturday. It's life. It's life.
This is Spider-Man meme, Passion Park.
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta wear the Passion Park merch today because I knew what it was gonna be. Hey, you ever seen that one meme where it's Sting and he takes his mask off and then it's Sting again? You're about to take your sweater off. It's gonna be another Passion Park
usually
shirt.
would be the case. I only wear Passion Park shit.
Right.
Wait, but you're about to go out of town, right? You got some shows coming up here.
Yeah, we got Eyes on the Prize coming up tonight at the Uptowner. Passion Park is a part of it.
Let's get it.
Texas this weekend. Going
right.
crazy.
We're more saying this because just to say to you guys before we really get into what we're going to talk about, there's always going to be shows that we have going on. So if you're interested, because like this is not going to be time stamped because we're obviously like we got shows coming up tonight. This isn't not going to come out today. But point is, if you want to keep up with us, the third Friday of every month, we always have a monthly show in Milwaukee. It's called the Passion Park Experience. Just check us out at passionparkent.com. That's where you can find all that. And then Eyes on the Prize is the show that my man Rhyme, you and Chop started together, right?
We created it a few years ago, and it's actually grew from Chicago to Milwaukee, New Hampshire. It's going to San Antonio,
Talk to him.
Manchester, New Hampshire, Burlington, Vermont, Portland, Maine. I mean, it's going to be all over, and it's going to be great. And tomorrow, this guy, shout out to Will, Random Melodies, one of the sponsors, got an actual belt, belt,
like a wrestling belt.
What's crazy is he used to be a wrestler, so he's like looking at it. He's telling me, he's like, dude, we're creating like a wrestling circuit in a sense because he can run the South and we can run the Midwest and we can get somebody, East Coast, we can run that too. And then over here. So it's like, it's crazy. And then right now I'm really working on ending the year. Well, not ending the year, but like early November before Thanksgiving, doing it in Manchester, UK or Manchester, UK, and then London.
That'd be crazy.
Back to back. So
you're going to get an individual belt for every city?
Obviously it depends. I mean, you got to invest in a belt.
Yeah, how much are belts is my question right now. How much is a wrestling belt?
Over 100. Depends what you get it. But also, what's crazy is he told me that like in wrestling, like there's replica belts, and if the person wants an actual belt, you have to pay for it. So let's say he told me when he was a wrestler, him and someone else won a belt or something, and he told him like, okay, whenever you go out and do the show, you'll have the replica belt. But if you physically want to take it home and buy another one, you have to pay for it yourself. Wow. So that's a real thing for wrestlers.
Isn't that like the Grammys? I think the Grammys,
is it that you got to pay for it, or is it the Moon Man thing, the MTV thing?
Maybe it's for all awards. I think there's something about like to get the full thing. Maybe it's not everybody. Maybe it's like say you win a Grammy, like the main artist.
Yeah.
Like if you're a sub,
I use my Grammy as a doorstop. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. I thought you had to pay for it. There's something in there that you have to. That's interesting. I didn't.
Okay.
I'm surprised by the wrestling belt.
No, yeah, but Passion Park's part of it. We're going crazy. We got passion everywhere. What we're doing.
We're working.
Before, let's get to the beginning, the origins of Passion Park, because we've spoke about it, but we spoke about it like high, drunk, this, and like I want to hear the like I'm talking about that moment where you were by yourself or the minute the 2 words Passion and Park came in your head and you were like, oh, this is gonna be that.
Yeah, that was 2015 when I was getting ready to drop Preacher Son. I knew that which was my first album, and I knew that like I wanted to have like I was basically doing research and I was figuring out like you want to have a vanity publisher, you want to have like a fake record label or something like that. You don't need to, like you could just put David Lopez, at the bottom. I always thought about like, when you drop a project on iTunes at the bottom, it says like what the company is.
Like Capitol Records.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So like, I was like, all right, I want to have a name, an entity like that. And I was thinking like long-term, like whatever I think of, I wanted to LLC it right away. Cause I was just like, it'll be my music company. It'll just be what I do.
Yeah.
I didn't have a vision for exactly what it was going to be. It was just essentially my company to like release whatever art I was going to release. So the name came about though, because I was thinking about a lot of things. I'm a huge J. Cole fan, and Dreamville at the time, everybody was popping, right? So I kind of combined a couple of things. I'm from Rogers Park, north side of Chicago. He's from Fayetteville, right? and he called it Dreamville because it's a combination of that. So I thought of Rogers Park, and then I thought of Passion, I thought of Passion Park, and I just did the entertainment instead of records.
There
It
we
was
go.
like kind of all came together, and I just kind of like really liked the ring of it. And I also thought that it wasn't a name that was too specific that wouldn't last. Like to me, it felt like it was relatively vague. So like if in 20 years I wanted to use it to like to make a movie or something, that was like literally always a dream. Was like, oh, I could have it as like my company that we just like make a movie. Like it would still pass. It's not like a record label. It's not like Records or something like that.
Yeah, it doesn't have the word records in it.
Yeah.
I mean, entertainment goes a long way with.
So that was the inception of that. That was the whole plan. So it really was inspired by Dreamville, by like Fayetteville, and J. Cole.
Don't apologize.
No apologies here, hey man. I stick with Cole. I'm still a fan of Jermaine.
Of course, I'm still a fan of
Jermaine. So yeah, and then from there it was really just used to release music. And then once I started doing shows beyond just like other showcases, then I was like, oh, I can like use it as like
to make show to throw shows. Curate.
Yeah, it was like essentially the brand that like because
so what was the first? Where was the first? And when was the first Passion Park Experience show that you threw? And it started in Chicago, right?
Yeah, it started in Chicago. Yeah, the first so I'm trying to think actually. That's a good question because when I did my album release, so for when Preacher's Son came out, thank you. When Preacher's Son came out, I did an album release party at the Abbey Pub. Do you remember the Abbey Pub? It's no longer there. It was on the north side.
It's on Milwaukee, Milwaukee, Austin, and all that. I tried to play there so many times.
We did my album release show. I mean, look, man, I was young. I wasn't drawing that.
That was the first Passion Park.
It wasn't a Passion Park experience, but it was my album release show, and it had like Passion Park branding all around it. And stuff.
Okay.
And I had a couple artists that I still rock with today on the show, so it was crazy. Like shout out to Amir Tripp, he was on that show. But it was that venue was kind of big and it was like a small draw. So, but it was the first time I had kind of been like, oh, this is what it's like to be behind the actual running the event portion of it. Because from up to that point, I had really just done showcases. But every time I had done showcases, I had gone up to like the venue manager and been like, hey, how do I get booked here? And I just usually got a business card or whatever. And then then I sent the email to them, got booked, and then so that went how that went. And then after that, I did another showcase at North Bar, which was like North and West.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Shout out to Jim Weber, the legend, but North Bar's no longer there, but that place was legendary. So I did a showcase there, and then I hit him up. He really I had a good draw that night. He really liked the crowd I had. He was like, yeah, you guys can do a show. And we did the Passion Park Experience, the first ever one. My friend that I worked with, I bartended. He was a server at Whirly Ball. He's a comedian, Mike Rice, doing great in Ireland right now. So me and him, we were like, all right, well, what if we did a combo show? Like, what if we did a half music, half comedy show? And we did the first one. It was I think it was the third Tuesday or fourth Tuesday of every month. And we did it for like a year, and it was like really.
And that was called Passion Park.
That was called the Passion Park Experience. Yeah.
And it was comedy mixed with.
It was the whole, every time it was like 3 comedians up front pretty much, and then 3 or 4 musicians after.
That's funny because I did, shout out to Will Bolanos, Ever Evolved. We did something very similar. We were talking about like, let's combine comedy. And it's crazy because I look at comedy, looks at like, it's almost like, rappers look at athletes. I think what's looked over is that like comedy loves hip hop and hip hop loves comedy. And you can see it happening today. If anything, to me, I said comedians are the new rock stars now. You know what I'm saying? Like they're going crazy. They ain't beefing, ain't worried about nothing. All of them are making moves, making money and stuff like that. So it's like for us to have like ideas like mix comedy and music, like.
Well, I think particularly the reason that I really, because I've always loved stand up, like a lot of people have, but I think particularly the reason that hip hop and rap intersect with comedy so much is that we're both in the business of words. Like if you're really a songwriter like that, like you care about writing, and comedy is all writing. It's all that. So like
it's very vulnerable. Like saying with your lyrics, you got to be very vulnerable. With
and but then the creative and like figuring out new approaches to get to similar points. Because a lot of times, look, man, there's only so many like concepts or joke wise, like whatever. Like there's themes that are all there. That
no idea is new under the sun. It's just how you rework it.
Essentially, so that's how I feel about music too. Is like I'm really always just trying to capture a feeling. So it's like, what is a new angle on that or creative way? So. I've always found that. And with running the comedy show, I had such an even greater respect for it because just like music, you can go to these local shows and you're like, holy shit, this dude could be, or this woman could be on SNL or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, they're just hilarious. And you're like, holy, like, I never heard of you. And that's how it is with music, right? You go to a show and you're like, that song could be on the radio. Why is it not on the radio?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a handful of things. Is draw the straw, luck, circumstances are. You can have you got the talent, but you got no work ethic. Like that all comes down to it. Like,
No, there's all huge pieces to the puzzle, but I love that's why it's so important to go to live events.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
you
yeah.
see it, you're like, oh, you see it in person. You're like,
You see the potential.
and
You're
also-
inspired by a lot of potential around you.
and also like you might see some like really bad like stuff that you don't think is great. Yeah, but that's also a good note to yourself if you're like hesitant to go perform. Like, look, a lot of people, there's all levels to this. Like, you just get
Yeah.
up and try it.
Bro, the most confident artists be the ones that are not all the way there. But the fact that they have the confidence already,
that's part of it.
and then they work their skill up. We've all been there. Like you thought you were better than you were when you really weren't.
I
but
would
like,
say that was 100% me.
Yeah,
like a 100%.
I agree with you.
I had a stage presence. I feel like from a young age, but I didn't have music skill to match.
I
up
think
with
I
it.
had the
Like,
idea and vision in my head already, but like I physically just wasn't. I couldn't
Yeah.
do it because I wasn't at that level
Yeah.
yet. So
Yeah.
it's like that could drive somebody crazy too. Just like, yo, I know I could be this
Yeah.
great or good, whatever. But like, if you don't
Well, you
put those
see it-
steps in,
I think you see it nowadays all the time because like people get popping off online real quick, right? And it's awesome that is possible, right? But so they might not have already built the stage persona,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
stage
yeah.
presence. So you do. I mean, Ice
or
Spice,
never done a show before.
right? Ice Spice is a good example of. I think one of her first shows was that huge festival, and then they started talking about her performance skills, but she really hadn't performed that
Yeah.
much. And now you can see she's already getting
But
like, much better.
but the
like,
people who booked her knew they're doing it because she's popular. They're not.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
booking her for her popularity, not booking her for her live performance
right?
show.
And like you can't blame look, anybody would say yes if you have a post a song online and it starts doing great. Like you're not gonna say, oh no,
I
because
gotta
I don't
practice
have
my
this-
performing
Yeah, no,
or
like,
turn on this money.
You just gotta learn. You just gotta do it and
Yeah,
learn.
yeah, of
And so
course.
you see a lot more of it. I feel like
The
even now.
Alchemist said that in one of his vlogs. He was just like you just said, a lot of these cats they get popping off the internet, never done a show, know how to hold a mic, know how to do rap over the lyrics. Like, you know, to us, that's a cardinal sin right there, rapping over your lyrics. But it is what it is. If you do it, you do it. But
I mean,
if you're gonna be somebody in this game for a long time and you want to make money, it's gonna be from live performance. It's gonna be from touring. Like streaming money is slow unless you're using something like Even, which you used for Cafecito. Like, you gotta understand, if you go to a city and somebody's like, "Oh, you were whack," and the next time you come back, they're not gonna pay to see you.
Yeah. No, I mean, I always say is like what the thing you should be doing if you're just getting into performing is like make sure you're thinking about what you want your live performance to look like.
Yeah.
And because like I don't even like to get too specific. Like, yes, at the style of music we do, frankly, the style of music anybody does, I want to hear you live. If I pay for a ticket, like I want to hear you live. So however that may be, if you have some lyrics and whatever, I'm not even trying to get into that whole
No,
because
that's
it's
another
a
episode.
sensitive- It's a very
Yeah.
sensitive, touchy topic for a lot
Yeah,
of people.
but-
But for me, the main thing is thinking about how you want to present your live show because there are fans that are there that are spending their night there.
Yeah.
So make sure you're presenting how you want it to be
Or
presented.
even some randoms who are there that don't know who you are, and you could
Yeah.
make them a fan. They could buy a T-shirt.
Just
all
don't
that.
be too cool to rehearse. Like rehearsal is everything to me. Like
Of course, yeah.
that's
know
how
your,
it is.
know your lyrics.
Because you did it at North Bar.
Yeah.
And North Bar has that tiny ass stage in the corner. I remember, right?
Yeah,
Am I
yeah.
right? If I remember correctly, North Bar has that tiny ass stage in the corner. Still raw though. It's still a good ass place.
It was good, yeah. It was so we did it for like a year there, and then it kind of faded a little bit. We just I mean we were still doing it, but like we kind of just veered off from it a little bit, and I was just doing my own shows a little bit. And then what happened? That was like 2018, I think, 2018 right there. So from there, I was just pretty much doing a lot of solo shows for a little bit. We would do occasional showcases, and then we would help people with like some album releases. We did Asthmatic's mixtape release party.
Shout out Asthmatic.
So we did some stuff like that, but we weren't doing the consistent monthly show. And then 2019, I ended up moving to Milwaukee, or it was like right at the end of 2019, I ended up moving to Milwaukee, and then COVID. So like that kind of all just washes away a couple of years right there. But so wait, actually, this is interesting to me because I don't know the answer to this, even though we know each other. During that time, when I'm doing the Passion Park shows, 2017 or whatever, where are you? What were you doing? Where were you at in Chicago? Or
We were doing a lot of Ever Evolve shows. We were doing a lot of stuff at Sub T. That's when I started traveling, like going to Florida, other places.
so the same time frame. So we were like, we
Yeah,
must
yeah.
have crossed paths. Like I
I
there's
think
no way. Like,
one way or another. Because if you were at Wicker Park and North Bar and I was at Sub T, I'm literally down the block.
Yeah.
And then I've done shows at like clothing stores, pop-up shops in Wicker Park. So I'm pretty sure, like
Yeah.
one way or another.
it has to have happened.
Yeah. So you make your way to Milwaukee. When's the first how did you find Bremen?
Yeah. So
And then how do you go and how do you convince them to be like, hey, I'm not even from here, but let me throw these shows here.
So I was just, like anything, when the pandemic was it was still going on, but there were some venues that would still have people. It was like, slowly coming back. I was looking for venues to start doing shows in Milwaukee because that's, whatever. I'm like, we gotta start some shit. Me and my guy Lalo, we're getting ready to release a mixtape. So I was just looking for some spots to do some shows. Found Bremen on there. I found a bunch. I mean, I emailed a bunch of venues. I emailed Cactus Club. I emailed all those places.
Yeah.
But Bremen, I knew they did free shows. And they emailed me back. They were like, we don't really do hip hop that much, but and I was like, I just kind of convinced them a little bit. And then they let us do one.
What's the way to? What was a convincing line to be like, come on?
I think it was just I sent my press kit, my resume, and I was just like, look, we've been running and I told them about we ran a monthly show.
I'm no rookie in this. Like I've been doing.
Yeah,
this.
we've been doing it. We run good shows, and so the first one we did wasn't a Passion Park experience or anything. It was literally just a three or four artist lineup, and there was no draw. I mean, we had no experience there. So, but we met a bunch of people.
had no experience.
At that venue or in that spot. Ironically, though, that first night, I met her name's Shalina. Shout out to Shalina. She runs True School in Milwaukee. So it's a huge hip hop organization. And I met her that first night. So there might have been nobody there, but that connection has lasted me for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Saw her at a show last night. We're talking about collabing on something this summer. So I mean, it's all these things matter.
And what year is this? 2022.
22. Yeah, it was 22.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it must have been right, unless
because COVID hits 2020.
Yeah,
2021 is kind of. You know what I'm saying? Still kind of locked down, but
I think
people
it
are coming more
end
free.
Of 21, I think,
Okay.
because
Going
it was
into
it was this November, December, and then that winter, I think I hit you up, or maybe when did we do our first show?
So I think what was I doing? I think I was looking for artists because what I'll do. Look, I'm about to drop a gem right now.
Yeah.
So when I look for artists in different states, for example, I'm doing Eyes on the Prize in Vermont or whatever. So what I did, I put hashtag Vermont hip hop, and all these artists popped up because that's what they use. So I used hashtag Chicago hip hop, and you had popped up. And I messaged you, I'm like, hey, do you want to be part of this show or something? And then you messaged me, you're like, oh, I actually don't live in Chicago, I live in Milwaukee. And then a light bulb went in my head. I'm like, oh, he lives in Milwaukee, a different state. So that's when I asked him, oh, hey, do you know what I'm saying, know about shows? And then you happen to tell me, oh, I actually throw my own show. So then that was us talking about it.
I think I messaged you about Ever Evolve Festival too or something.
But that might have been Will, though. You might have
okay.
did that to Will, not me, personally.
Yeah.
Oh, you talking about the League Chance Festival that we did?
Yeah. That. Because I remember something about
we threw
that.
2 of those.
Yeah.
Shout out to Moonlight. We threw it at his property right there. Crazy.
Oh, was that his
crazy.
property?
Yeah, it was on his property. Because he has acre, I think 2 acres. I don't know, a few acres. But since it's private property and so spread out, that's how we were able to do it.
I remember asking about that. And then, we had a conversation on Instagram. And then... Yeah, we were like, we should do a Milwaukee show. So I got Bremen again. I got the date again at Bremen. I think it was February of
2022.
I think it was February of 2022. But before that, you asked me to come down for the open mic. So I did the open mic. That was the first show.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
So I did.
What I call it? Midnight Marauders, I think. Was that it? Or was it just
Magoo's?
No, I had you on weren't you a featured act on Eyes on the Prize?
No, I think it was just didn't you guys have an open mic at Magoo's or no?
Yeah, we did. But
I was a featured act, I think, at the open mic.
I forgot what the name of what we called it. Okay, but yeah.
That was the first show.
You're right. That's when I met you. Yeah, in person.
And then we did Passion Park Experience that February, and it was popping. That was our first one. Was pretty good, I think. We had the first one we had where we had Chicago and Milwaukee acts together, and I definitely that's why I really wanted to bring that name back because I remember we talked. We were like, what should we do for the name of the show? And I was very no, can we just please name it this? Because I wanted to bring that thing back to life, even though we weren't going to do comedy. I was like, let's just go straight music, and then that evolved. I don't remember. We weren't doing monthly right away, right? We were just
no, because dates. They were we had to hit them up and be I think it was for a good 5 months. It was we had to pick a random date.
Yeah, we just
and it was and if anything, we had a lot of Thursdays.
Yeah, we had a lot of Thursdays. I think we
and then a few Fridays, and then I remember Saturday was the hardest to get, but we'd get 1 or 2 here and there. And I think maybe after the summer, going into the fall of it's the fall of 2022, I think, and then that's when they're okay, you want to do a residency.
Yeah.
And that's when it turned into these third Fridays.
That's about right, exactly. I remember our first because we had the official date for over I don't even know, but it's been a while. It's been a while. Yeah. But the interesting thing, which I actually think is the most interesting thing about this 2 independent artists is the reason that I was so intrigued by Bremen, or one of the reasons I was intrigued by staying there, was because there was no risk at all, right? They only do free shows.
I mean, I'm not gonna say it's not a risk. It's still a risk of your character, your business moves, because it's a risk if you throw that ass show. People I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to come here, or the artists are not satisfied, But it also there's one thing I need artists to realize: you're a part of a show. It's not up to the promoter to bring everybody and their mama to the show.
Yeah.
If I'm booking you as an artist, I believe that you can draw a crowd, or I like you as well. So here's a stage for you, because stages aren't offered that frequent.
Right.
And I think Passion Park was you were offering stages to artists.
Yeah. What I mean by, and first of all, you're right. You don't want to throw a bunch of just not successful shows. That there's the risk there. But what I mean by no risk is no overhead in the sense of like.
No, I know that, but I'm saying that was the other risk that was
you're
there.
right. No, you're right. But that venue, which is interesting because in Chicago, I don't know any places that do it. In Milwaukee, I know a couple places do it. It's free shows no matter what, but they pay out like a percentage of bar sales. It's a low percentage, so it's never a lot. It usually just covers sound and DJ or whatever.
Just make sure you're good for the night.
But yeah, it's nothing crazy. But what that told me right away, early when I was like, I want to start a monthly show, I was like, well then, because like look, it's natural when you have a show that goes all the time. Like some months are crazy, some months are medium, whatever. So like if you're not covering a bunch of costs and you just have like a free open space where everybody feels like you can just connect, I feel like that's the reason that it's been so successful is that it's like just a space, and we kind of got to do that because I wasn't losing bread every month on the show. I couldn't run the show if I was losing bread every month. Like, so it worked out that way. Obviously, there's no high end on it, and artists can't really make money off those shows. But we try to provide a space. But
more than money, you can make
all the connections.
Well, first of all, the iron sharpens iron. You're around other artists. You're getting better at performing. That's one thing. Another thing that you're doing is, let's see, I would say exposure, networking. Because who's in the room? A curator, a producer, an artist, this and that. So now you got your next collab. Oh, you need an engineer? Oh, wait, this guy does graphic design. So, yeah, and the good thing about Bremen is that room, there could be 20 people in there and it feels intimate. Yeah. We've had nights where there's 50, 60 people, almost 70. You know what I'm saying? We've been up there where it's shoulder to shoulder and it's hot as fuck in that place. Yeah. And people love that environment. You know, it's very DIY. The benches, what is it? The bleachers they got. Like, it's very cool. Like, it's very intimate. And then we created the bridge from Chicago. So now we're bringing Chicago artists up here. Chicago artists are telling me they're getting, you know what I'm saying? We know how Chicago is. You're getting more love from the audience up over here in Milwaukee. So now all these artists in Chicago, they want to come up.
Yeah, and it's exactly true. So like all those things are like true. You get all those. And the best thing we always see is like we see artists that like connected at our show that now do shows like songs together or shows together or whatever. It's awesome, right? The thing I try to really be vocal about and try to talk about, especially at our Q&A before or whatever, is like we provide the space, and like because there is no like monetary really like compensation, it's kind of hard to make money at that venue. Period, unless you're selling merch, which you should be doing.
Yeah.
Like this should be a setting, like a stepping stone for you to then like go, you go book at a venue directly, go sell tickets somewhere else, go do those things, or go travel like we do, like or like you do.
Yeah, but it's easier said than done.
Of course,
very tedious.
Of course, yeah, exactly. It's not like everybody wants to be their own booking manager. Everybody doesn't want to do that stuff. But then you should know that hey, because sometimes people are like, all right, well, am I getting paid for this set? Am I getting paid for this set? You got to know where that money's coming from and how that even operates. And I think sometimes people don't even think
Don't be ignorant to how this show is being run.
You don't think about how that even happens. You got to think about it. Like
course.
It comes from either ticket sales or bar sales or somebody's pocket. Like, so like how is like, where is the value coming from? Obviously you as an artist are providing value with your, your set, but at an independent level, we got to be realistic about how those things go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
of course. So, all right. So we link up, we start doing Third Fridays. So that was what, 2022, right?
Yeah.
And then the first Passion Park Festival is 2024 March.
2024,
That's a good
2
year stretch. So in these 2 years, what have you taken away from what you saw? And I'll tell you what I've taken away from what I saw in Milwaukee specifically.
Yeah. First of all,
shout out to 414.
The festival was so great, man. That was so fun. I'm
amazing.
looking forward to bringing it back again and going bigger and better. But I mean, what I've really it's helped me as an artist. This is what I always say because people always thank me, which is great, and thank us for like providing a stage. And like I want to do this. Like I would do.
Yeah.
But it's also been very beneficial for me as an artist. Like, I mean, not only do I get the experience of just performing regularly, which I think makes, just like you said, iron sharp. It just makes me better. But I'm in front of all these new faces. I've got to meet so many people. But what it's really taught me is that the open arms, like collaborative approach that we've taken with this show specifically, is a good way for my career to go. Like I'm leaning into that in my career because I think it's a part of my personality, and it's helped me as an artist, and I think it's helped me find my fan base a little bit more. It's helped me like double down on the things that like I really think work for me. And just Milwaukee, like any city has a lot of talent.
Yeah, okay.
Well, so what have you learned from it?
Just being consistent can just elevate you in so many ways. And it's it's crazy because it's like you have your days. All artists have our days where it's just like we don't feel as inspired. We feel like we're not like taking serious. We feel like, am I doing this for the right reasons? Am I like past my whatever? And then like you get a message from like somebody random or artist or whoever that sends you a message like, yo man, like what you're doing is crazy, and they always send it at the most random time when you're doing something. You're like you can't even really read it. Then you go back to it, you're like, wait, what do you say like to me? I had that happen to me the other day, and it's crazy because I'm so tough on myself, like how, what I'm saying, because to me, every hour, every minute, you know, obviously family, you could be doing whatever, but when you get to the music, like you cherish those minutes and stuff. So I think Passion Park, those experiences have been experiences. I've seen a lot of dope artists. I've seen a lot of artists go from subpar to raw. I've seen stage perform. I've seen artists, you know, really study everybody else and do it. We've seen artists turn into curators themselves, doing things like that. So it's like, man, we really like, it's like a blueprint, you know, that like we really put in place and people are following and getting inspired by, which is amazing. Which is amazing that we can inspire them, and we're still inspiring each other. And like you said, the festival was amazing. I did my own festival. I'm not gonna lie, both of them were amazing, but shit shows. So, you know, like the Patch Park one was amazing as well. Like we had, you know, whatever curveball came at us, we knocked that shit out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, and I think that you know, like we both kind of have taken a longevity approach. That's I just talked about this with somebody. Like and that is really come to fruition, and like inspiring other people is a part of that, and it's a beautiful thing to see it. And it kind of leads us to we're really excited about this podcast. We got a lot of topics to get into as in the coming episodes, but it's a good transition point right here because you brought up the family stuff, the balancing of it all as we kind of foresee the future too, or try to foresee where we're going with this.
Well, specifically with shows.
Yeah, exactly, and balancing, you know, family and all this stuff. There's a lot of topics that we got to get into, but this is what we started the podcast for, right?
There we go.
Thanks for tuning into the first Passion Park podcast. We're going to be back. I'm David Lopez
RhymSter.
That's right. Built it up just to tear it all down. Packed up all my things, now I'm in a new town. But word get around when you keep it this real. They can't hold me down, the people see the mass appeal. That's where the Nas Dave East, this that Midwest heat. Feel different, on the grind, stay efficient. Kept it moving, now the movement started winning. Build it up just to tear it all down. Do it just to prove a point, I ain't here to play around. I'm a stubborn motherfucker that go well with this hunger. Westbrook, I ain't too amused with these numbers. Hit your book, bet on me if you want a cover. Underdog story, can't nobody do this for me. Now they start to know me, but empty venues ain't my story. Same homies had my back, we gon' share the glory. Champions cause we made it, now we drink like Nori. I just wanna be successful. Keep it real, live a life that's full. Keep it real, I want a mansion on a lake. Turn these raps into prime real estate. I just wanna be successful. Keep it real, live a life that's full. Keep it real, I want a mansion on a lake. Turn these raps into prime real estate.
Check ball game point, legend like Pee Wee at Rutgers. We going big, slinging crack out wicked jumpers. From the 312, check the back, that's my jersey number. You see me when you look up, I see you down under. More so than ninth wonder, mad libs I just blaze. Couldn't face off, John Travolta, Nicolas Cage. I drive something that's an acre of land. I go back, count my work plus the ones in my hand. Move quicker than they view a crack sold for a gram. Hit me over by tip-off, it's McMahon, you Eric Bischoff. Do I need to get deeper? Hot as 10,000 fevers. That's a warm-up if you think that's hot. Imagine every day you wake up, hit the jackpot. Got game on the court, don't forget the black top. I hit, they can't believe it, but I do. Put all that doubt behind you, now mind you.
I just wanna be successful. Keep it real, live a life that's full. Keep it real, I want a mansion on a lake. Turn these raps into prime real estate. I just wanna be successful. Keep it real, live a life that's full. Keep it real, I want a mansion on a lake. Turn these raps into prime real estate.
Feels good.